Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly achieve success while others struggle despite working twice as hard? What if I told you that the difference isn't talent, luck, or even intelligence, but 7 specific habits that anyone can develop? Today we're diving deep into Stephen Covey's legendary book that has transformed millions of lives worldwide. I'm about to share the complete breakdown of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And by the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap to completely transform how you approach success, relationships, and personal growth. But here's the thing that most people miss about this book. It's not just about productivity tips or life hacks. Covey discovered something much more profound about human effectiveness that goes against everything we've been taught. Let me start with a story that perfectly illustrates why these habits are so powerful. Imagine 2 people chopping wood. One person swings their axe frantically for hours, making little progress and exhausting themselves. The other person takes regular breaks to sharpen their axe and ends up cutting twice as much wood with half the effort. Most people are the first person, working harder instead of working smarter. Covey's 7 habits are essentially about sharpening your axe in every area of life. Before we jump into the habits, you need to understand Covey's fundamental insight that changed everything. He discovered that there are 2 types of success literature. The first, which dominated the previous 150 years, focused on character ethics, things like integrity, humility, courage, and justice. But starting around the 1920s, success literature shifted to what he called the personality ethic: techniques, strategies, and quick fixes. Here's the problem with the personality ethic approach. It's like trying to paint over a rotten foundation. You might get temporary results, but eventually the rot shows through. The 7 habits are different because they're based on timeless principles that work regardless of your circumstances, personality, or background. The 7 habits are organized into 3 stages of growth. The first 3 habits move you from dependence to independence. This is about mastering yourself. The next 3 habits move you from independence to interdependence. This is about working effectively with others. The 7th habit is about continuous renewal and improvement. Let's start with habit 1. Be proactive. This isn't just about taking initiative, though that's part of it. Being proactive means recognizing that you always have the freedom to choose your response to any situation. Between what happens to you and your response, there's a space, and in that space lies your power to choose. Most people are reactive. They blame circumstances, other people, or their past for their current situation. They say things like, "I have to do this," or "That person makes me so angry," or "I can't help it, that's just how I am." Proactive people take responsibility for their responses. They focus on their circle of influence, the things they can actually control, rather than their circle of concern, the things they worry about but can't change. Here's a practical way to become more proactive. For the next week, listen to your language. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I have to," "I can't," or "if only," stop and rephrase it. Instead of "I have to work late," try "I choose to work late because I want to finish this project." This simple shift in language reflects a profound shift in mindset from victim to victor. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. This is about mental creation preceding physical creation. Everything is created twice, first in your mind, then in reality. Most people skip the first creation and jump straight to action, which is why they often end up climbing the ladder of success only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. Beginning with the end in mind means developing a clear vision of where you want to go and what you want to become. It's about writing your own script for your life instead of letting others or circumstances write it for you. Covey suggests imagining your own funeral and thinking about what you would want people to say about you. What kind of person would you want to be remembered as? What contributions would you want to be remembered for? This isn't a morbid exercise, it's a clarifying one. When you have a clear sense of your destination, every decision becomes easier because you can ask yourself, does this choice move me closer to or further from who I want to become? The practical application here is developing a personal mission statement. This isn't a corporate buzzword exercise. It's a deep reflection on your core values and long-term vision. Your mission statement becomes your personal constitution, the basis for making major life decisions. Now we come to habit 3, put first things first. This is where mental creation becomes physical creation. It's about having the discipline to prioritize and execute based on your principles rather than your moods or external pressures. Most people manage their time around urgency. They respond to whatever is screaming the loudest for attention, but highly effective people organize their time around importance. Covey introduces a powerful matrix that divides all activities into 4 quadrants based on urgency and importance. Quadrant 1 contains things that are both urgent and important: crises, emergency meetings, last-minute deadlines. Everyone spends some time here, but people who live primarily in Quadrant 1 are constantly stressed and firefighting. Quadrant 3 contains things that are urgent but not important: interruptions, some phone calls, some emails, some meetings. Many people think they're in Quadrant 1 when they're actually in Quadrant 3, busy but not productive. Quadrant 4 contains things that are neither urgent nor important: time wasters, trivial activities, mindless entertainment. This is the quadrant of waste. But here's the key insight. Quadrant 2 contains things that are important but not urgent: prevention, relationship building, planning, recreation, preparation. This is the quadrant of effectiveness. Highly effective people spend most of their time in Quadrant 2, which reduces the number of Quadrant 1 crises they face. The first 3 habits are about achieving private victory, mastering yourself, but private victory must precede public victory. You can't be successful with others until you're successful with yourself. This brings us to the next 3 habits, which are about public victory, your ability to work effectively with other people. Habit 4, think win-win. Most people think in terms of win-lose. If I win, you must lose. This scarcity mentality creates competition even when cooperation would be more effective. Others think lose-win. They're so focused on being liked that they give in too easily and don't stand up for themselves. Win-win thinking is based on the belief that there's plenty out there for everyone. It's about seeking solutions that benefit everyone involved. This isn't compromise where everyone gives up something. It's synergy, where the solution is better than what either party originally proposed. Win-win thinking requires courage to express your needs and consideration to understand others' needs. It requires abundance mentality, the belief that success isn't a zero-sum game. When you truly believe there's enough success to go around, you stop seeing other people as competition and start seeing them as potential collaborators. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. This might be the most powerful habit for improving relationships immediately. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. We're constantly preparing our response, judging, or trying to fit what we hear into our own autobiography. Empathic listening means listening with the intent to understand both the content and the emotion behind what someone is saying. It's about getting inside another person's frame of reference and seeing the world through their eyes. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you need to understand their perspective before you can effectively communicate your own. When people feel understood, they become much more open to being influenced. The key is to diagnose before you prescribe. Imagine going to a doctor who prescribes medicine before examining you. You wouldn't trust that doctor. Yet we do this all the time in our relationships. We prescribe solutions before we understand the problem. Habit 6, Synergize. This is about creative cooperation, the principle that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. When people truly synergize, they create solutions that are better than anything either person could have created alone. Synergy requires all the previous habits. You need to be proactive, have a clear vision, prioritize effectively, think win-win, and understand others deeply. When these elements come together, something magical happens. You create third alternatives that transcend the original positions. Most people approach differences with fear or resignation. They either try to eliminate differences or tolerate them. But synergy means celebrating differences as opportunities for creativity. The key is to value the mental, emotional, and psychological differences between people. These differences are what make synergy possible. Habit 7. Sharpen the saw. This is the habit that makes all the other habits possible. It's about continuous renewal and improvement in 4 key areas of your life: physical, mental, spiritual, and social emotional. The physical dimension involves caring for your body through exercise, nutrition, and stress management. The mental dimension involves learning, reading, writing, and teaching. The spiritual dimension involves connecting with your values through meditation, prayer, or nature. The social emotional dimension involves serving others and developing meaningful relationships. Most people neglect renewal because it seems like there's no time for it. But renewal isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. If you don't take time to sharpen the saw, you'll spend more and more time trying to cut with a dull blade. Regular renewal in all four dimensions creates positive momentum in your life. Here's what makes these habits so powerful. They're interconnected and synergistic. Each habit builds on the previous ones, and they all reinforce each other. You can't just pick and choose the ones you like. They work as a complete system. The transformation these habits create isn't quick or easy. It requires what Covey calls a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how you see yourself in the world. But the results are profound and lasting. When you embody these habits, you don't just become more effective. You become more fulfilled, more connected, and more authentic. The beauty of these habits is that they work regardless of your current situation. Whether you're a student, parent, business leader, or retiree, these principles apply. They're not cultural or temporary. They're universal and timeless. As we wrap up, remember that knowing these habits isn't enough. You have to live them consistently until they become part of who you are. Start with one habit, master it, then move to the next. Focus on being rather than having or doing. When you change your character, your circumstances will follow. The 7 habits aren't just about becoming more effective. They're about becoming the person you were meant to be. They're about creating a life of meaning, contribution, and lasting happiness. The choice is yours, and that choice will determine your destiny. If this video helped you understand these transformative habits, hit that like button and subscribe for more content that can change your life. What habit resonated most with you? Let me know in the comments below, and remember, your journey to effectiveness starts with a single step.